So New Mexico was a good win. The coaches viewed that as kind of a trap game. If we weren't ready, they would really get after us, as Boise saw the week previous. They have some really good skill positions, which our defense was able to control a lot of the game. Their defense was pretty stout. I thought they did a good job. We had some runs dialed up that really got into kind of what they like to do, so we were able to gain some yards that way and kind of take some time off the clock. New Mexico is a good team. I feel like they are on the rise. Luckily, we were prepared. We had a good week of practice, and we were ready to take them on and got the win.
Questions?
Kevin, can you talk a little bit about just how the O-line has developed over the season? Coach Wells was pretty complimentary to you guys after saying you guys took it upon yourselves in that last series to win that game then and there.
Yeah, we had been begging for runs all game. We love to run the ball. We feel like that's one of our strengths is when we dial up runs between the tackles, and the coach has put a great game plan together for that reason. So when it kind of came down to it and we had 4 minutes or a little bit over left, we knew that it was our time to go out and win the game. We didn't want their offense to get back out on the field. And the offensive line, there's kind of been 6-7 guys that have played this year. And the two, Austin Albrecht played last game and played the majority of the game when Jake went out. I thought he did a really nice job, but we're all just doing a good job staying unselfish, keeping our heads down and listening to the coaching that Coach Webb's offered us. And he's really had us prepared the last couple of weeks.
Austin, I think this Jake was kind of sick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's not injured.
No.
Good.
He's sick, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this could be your final game at home unless you host the Mountain West Championship. So talk about Senior Day and what it means to you and the rest of the seniors.
I mean, I've always said for me it's an honor to play in Romney Stadium in front of our fans. It's kind of a surreal feeling if I really think about it, but to me it's just the next game. I really haven't cared too much about, oh, this is my last game here, or, oh, I'll never get to go to Hawaii again. I just show up, hopefully we win the game, and then I leave, and we win. So.
Pretty routine. So you're you try.
It'll
not
be
to
routine until I'm
You try
done.
not to get sentimental about
Yeah,
things.
it'll be routine until I'm done, and then I may shed a tear or two.
It'll be a
after
basket
that.
case.
Yeah.
What about just being a part of this group of seniors that have won more games as a group than any group at Utah State?
Well, I love this group of seniors that we have right now at Utah State. I feel like we've worked really hard, whether the coach is in the room or not. I feel like all of us have taken ownership of our position groups. I feel like all of us are doing what we need to do off the field to pass this tradition and this culture onto the younger classes. And I want nothing more for the senior class than to play in the Mountain West Championship. And obviously we allowed that control to slip out of our hands. But I think we've left a pretty positive and a pretty strong legacy with the cards that we've been dealt, and hopefully we can continue to add to that in these next 3 or 4 weeks.
So how do you feel that you have left the defensive line, you as kind of the leader of that group? Is this a really good group that'll be together, a lot of them 2 or 3 years, some of them still at Utah State?
Yeah, I think Tyshawn Mosley, if I'm going to pick a couple guys, Tyshawn Mosley's really good. I think he's going to be a solid left guard or even move out to tackle for us. Austin Albrecht's pretty solid. Jake Simonich is he's a really good tackle for us. Austin Stevens is going to be a quality center. Look to him to be kind of the next, maybe Tyler Larson, with all due respect to Tyler. But I really think we have some solid guys returning. Tawny's really positive, plus any recruits they're going to bring in. And I know that this leadership's been passed on to them. They work just as hard, whether anyone's leading them or not, and I think they're going to be a really strong unit next year for us.
What do you see from San Jose defense and what you have been able to gather the last little bit?
I don't know, San Jose is a good team. They have some deep threats on offense. On defense, they play a 4 down front. Unless they've changed, I haven't really had a chance to watch that much film on them yet. But they play hard. They're well coached, and this is another week where we'll need to dial in. So I don't think it's necessarily a trap game because it's senior night and we're all going to be jacked up and ready to go. It'll be a cold one. We just need to be locked in and take advantage of opportunities, and I think we'll have a good game.
Have you noticed that teams since Myers has been the starter, do they really try to gear up more towards the run? Do they really think you guys are going to try to do that more than throwing the ball? Have you felt that?
Yeah, but I feel like we've remained still pretty balanced with Myers back there at quarterback. Teams will load the box on us, and they do pressure us more than they used to, just because of the deep threat that Darryl had. Not to say that Kent doesn't have that, but he is younger, so they're going to try and get hits on him. They load the box, but when a team blitzes against us, that's where you really start to cut the defense. If you have all 5 offensive linemen on the same page, and you'll get your big 50-yard runs like we've had in weeks past. So we like the pressure. We just all need to be dialed in.
I think after his first game, Coach said that, I think he asked you after the first series, well, how do you think he's doing out there? And you said something, oh, he's fine, or he's locked in, or whatever, the young freshman quarterback.
Yeah, he's always fine. Every guy that we've ever had come in is fine. I mean, you can kind of look into a guy's eyes, and if he's scared, you'll see it. But he communicated with us clearly. He conveyed the plays that were being called in from the sideline clearly. He plays clean football. He's smart. He doesn't get careless with the football. And he just keeps his head down too. He's not trying to be a leader. He's trying to do his job. And his job's been enough for the past couple weeks, and we look for it to be enough again against San Jose.
Did you guys talk at all about, you're down to the 4th-string quarterback, as O-line, we better make sure we protect this guy because there aren't many more behind him.
I mean, we want to protect every guy that's behind us. And these quarterbacks, the 3 that have been hurt previous, it's not like they're necessarily being jacked up on a drop back pass. Chucky was on a run. Darryl was outside the pocket. Craig kind of tweaked his knee a little bit. So, I mean, we want to protect every guy, whether it's Chucky, the first quarterback we started the year with, or Kent. We want to keep all those guys safe because we want them to continue playing for us. Obviously, we don't want anyone to suffer a season-ending injury. Yeah, we take pride in protection.
First of all, coming into the New Mexico game, we knew that they were really talented in a lot of areas, the running backs in particular. They had a few guys out due to injury. The quarterback, I thought, moved very well, an elusive player. I thought their offensive line did a good job of getting to the second level. As far as the game plan, they had film on us from the Air Force game who runs a similar type offense. And I think they did a good job for the most part of how we were going to play defense against them. And so a lot of those, and then the big 72-yard touchdown run was a play that we hadn't seen on film. And it creased us, and that was pretty embarrassing. So, as a whole, though, it's a huge win for the team. Very, very happy about that, to come out of there with a win. Obviously, I think the offense did a tremendous job there with like 4 minutes and 50 seconds left in the game of running the ball and doing that really effectively. So that was huge, and they did a tremendous job. Kevin, the offensive line, and the running backs. So.
Could you go through all the things you had to adapt to with all the personnel changes at the linebacker positions last week?
All of it? I don't know. I mean, it was nice to have Nick back. Nick felt good playing inside again. Originally, that was where he was supposed to play at the beginning of the year. Well, we all know Kyler got hurt, so Nick then had to go outside, but he was happy to be back inside, and he did a really good job for us. And then the way we worked the outside backer, those guys did a tremendous job for us also. I mean, option football is assignment football.
So other than the 72-yard run, I mean, do you think the performance against a running team like that was about what you'd expect?
In my opinion, no. I wish it would have been a lot better, honestly. They did a good job of cracking Brian on a lot of the stuff that they were doing, and we just had to honestly rally to the football quicker than what we were doing. So.
remember one in particular, one time the quarterback just ran, and you just kind of just went at him with it, just differently than it seemed like some of the other games you went after him on the option run or something that one time, and you got him. It was towards the sideline of the west or something, I can't remember.
That one was a lead option, and I ended up beating the tight end and was able to get out in front of him. They did a good job of switching up their tight end blocks on me on their option stuff. Early in the game, they were coming at me high, and then later in the game, they were coming low, and I was able to defeat some cuts and help out a little more on the speed options, on the lead option stuff. So I think that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, could you feel that they really singled you out in their blocking schemes where they really try to take care of you?
I don't know if they were trying to take care of me. I think they were trying to work Nick is what I think they were doing. Because we'd get a lot of the sling stuff to my side, but they did a lot of away blocking. And since Nick hasn't played inside, I think once they saw that was something they were kind of gearing up because Nick was more adapted to the outside position. Nick eventually adapted really well and was very productive for us and ended up having a really good game. But I think in their game plan, they were looking to try to see where Nick was mentally as far as the inside backer position. But in my opinion, Nick did a really good job.
Well, we've talked to you a lot about Nick, and I mean, you've had to answer a lot of questions about your brother and stuff. But still, there has to be, when you look at the stat sheet at the end of the game, and he has 14 tackles, and you have 10 or 11 or whatever, double-digit tackles for the brothers playing together. That's really got to be something pretty special.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but honestly, that's like our job to do. I mean, the defensive line did a good job all day of keeping the guys off of us, and Coach Orlando said if Nick and I have a good day, that means that the defensive line had a good day, and that nothing could be more true when you play an option football team like that and an effective option team. They do a really good job of running between the tackles for an option team. They really did, and so yeah, Nick and I had double-digit tackles, but at the same time, that was what we were supposed to do. So.
And now then you face, I mean, over the years, San Jose has always been known for their throwing besides. Now, they got a quarterback who looks like he runs a little bit more than they've had before, so it's a little different, it looks like, San Jose team a little bit.
Yeah, I just started the film on them. He is more of an elusive guy than David Fells was, but I think they run the ball really effectively. I think they're offensively, they run a lot of zones, so they zone up to the backers really well. The running back's good player, keeps his legs going, and obviously they're always going to be a challenge at wide receiver spot. They're always really talented there, so it'll be interesting when I dig more into the film and see where they're going to try to hurt us. So.
This being senior day, I mean, obviously, Kevin, it's not to throw you under the bus, but what does senior day mean to you?
Pretty similar to what Kevin said, honestly. It's another game. I've got to finish strong. Last game at home. It's going to be cold, so we can't be weak-minded and go out there and be soft. So I think the cold's an advantage to us. We obviously live here in Utah. As far as senior day, it's more of a big deal to the parents than anything else. I know my mom will probably be crying. But yeah, I mean, when you look back, in January or whatever, when we look back on the season, be like, yeah, that's pretty cool, senior day. But right now, it's just another game and go out and handle business.
You don't want, like what I said to him, you don't really want to make it a real emotional. You want to center the football strategy rather than thinking about the surroundings until the game's over. And things.
Yeah, there's time to cry later on. I don't need to be crying before the game. So.
As if our families will even come out.
Yeah. I hope my parents show up. It's probably going to be pretty cold.
Too cold.
Yeah, everybody in Logan's going to be on the TV. It's warmer in the house anyways. So.
What does it mean to be part of this senior group that's the winningest class, though?
It's pretty special to say you're part of a group of guys that has built a winning tradition here since I've been here, and it's very humbling to look around and see the guys that came before us, the guys from last year, the year before, and that we were able to play with those guys and learn from each other and then also pass those traditions and those mentalities on to the younger guys coming up the ranks. I think there's honestly some really good talent coming up, some young guys that are going to develop into some really explosive players for the Aggies, and I'm excited to keep watching them. Obviously, my little brother's here, so I'll be very updated.
For you in your career, to just think that you walked in and you didn't know if you'd get a chance, to turn out to be the kind of leader you have been. Now, you were nominated for this walk-on award last week and stuff, but I mean, there's no way you could have envisioned that you'd in your senior year be sitting here being the guy that really everybody on the team looks up to and stuff, Zach, really?
No, I honestly can say you're 100% right. I remember I was at Cafe Rio with one of my friends at the time when I was a freshman. Was like, honestly, I just hope I play like any reps. So like I've said in a lot of different interviews and stuff like that, the transformation that I've been able to have is honestly just a true blessing. It really is, because without the good Lord watching over me, you know, who knows where I'd be. And I was just been in the right place, the right time, the right situation for me, and very grateful and very humbled to be in the position I am today.
Are you a lot different person now than you were when you were a freshman? I mean, you seem to be a confident guy, like you like yourself and all that, but are you different now?
I like myself.
Well, no, you know, I mean, I'm not like,
That's what
I mean, you
we've
seem
all thought.
confident, you know, you.
Gosh, that's
you know,
embarrassing.
I'm sorry, I mean,
I don't hope
maybe
I
I
come
didn't mean
across
it that
that
way,
way.
Zach. Maybe I didn't mean it that way, but what I mean is you seem to be the kind of guy who just, you know, people like to get with you, be around you and things like that, but you always been like that?
I think I've loosened up a lot more since I was a freshman. If you talk to my brother Nick, he'll say he always said I was mad in high school, which I guess I don't think I was, but he said I was. But I think I've matured a lot. I've relaxed more in the social part of my life. As far as being a leader and a vocal leader in football anyways, that's something that developed here. I've told you guys before, after my spring game, going into my sophomore season, that's when it kind of all switched for me as far as being a vocal leader. So yeah, I don't know if I like myself that much, but
Well, we do.
I guess it's just my personality. I mean, I want to be. First of all, when I go out and perform, I want to take care of what I need to take care of. The worst feeling in the world to me is being unprepared when you step onto the football field. So if I can be prepared and I can help other guys be prepared and help them around me, and that's also my job at middle linebacker. Like, I need to be able to tell the front where to be. If the other guys have questions, I should be able to help them out too.
And that's something you obviously have learned here too, to be prepared for football. 'Cause
Yeah.
You would have never been like that in high school. Or
Yeah,
watch film or
I mean,
do any of that kind of
I don't
stuff.
even know if I watched film in high school, but yeah, going into my sophomore year, Jake and I took it upon ourselves to start learning how to really dissect film, and Coach Kloon did a good job of showing us how to watch film and break it down that way. So yeah, and then that way, I mean, you just get, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So that's what I guess I've done.
Mhm.
As far as the growth of the program, did you tell us once, or was it Dowdy, that all the guys that came before worked as hard as we work, but then we took it beyond that?
I don't know if I said that. I may have said that, but I think the guys before us, like you think about Bobby Wagner, Robert Turbin, those guys were really good players, and they were good leaders. They really were. But I think this group of seniors, Kevin, BJ, myself, I think we've taken it to more of a vocal standpoint than what those guys did. You know, I was young at the time, so a lot of stuff that they right over my head. But honestly, I think that this group of guys, because that was what they were pushing for. Coach Anderson started it. Coach Wells has continued it, pushing for to build leadership, and that's what I hope to pass on to the younger guys, you know, moving forward. So I hope that answers your question.
Can you talk a little bit about just B.J. Larson and his own development here as a player?
Yeah, same kind of path as I had walk on, obviously, but BJ's a man amongst boys. He honestly is. He's a really good player, strong, fast, smart guy, good friend of mine, and another guy that just right place, right time, right situation, and he bloomed into an obviously a great player here.
So when you talk about directing your teammates and trying to help them out, do you treat Nick differently
Yeah.
than those?
I'm harder on Nick. I always have been, but that's kind of my role as the older brother, because I know what he can do. I push him in school too, because he'll be lazy sometimes. I'm like, dude, just go do it. Like, but that's how I am with Nick, because I know what he can accomplish, and if he sets his mind to it, I mean, the kid can do anything. So as far as that aspect, yeah, I push Nick, and I've pushed him more to be a vocal leader, and he stepped up and he's becoming more of a vocal leader. I noticed that out there the other day when we were playing. He was talking more and help leading the guys, and that's huge because he's going to be the guy next year there, him and Kyler. So he's got to take that upon himself, and yeah, I'm hard on him, but I don't care. He's my little brother.
Are you ever protective of him out there?
out there.
Yeah.
No, he can handle his own business. Yeah, he's a strong kid, and I'm very proud of him. Like, he had a few amazing plays the other day, and that's a prideful thing, and proud big brother. So.
Is there satisfaction in leaving this program, in as good a shape, if not better than it was when you first arrived? I mean, is that the ultimate goal of the program's success?
I think that is the goal. I think you know, every group of guys you kick out of there, you want to say that the program is better now than it was when they walked in the door, and I can say pretty certainly that the program is better now than it was when I walked in the door. I'm not saying I had that much to do with it or anything like that. I'm just saying the group of guys that was here, the time I've been here, did a tremendous job of building the program to what it is today.
New Mexico, win number 8. You cherish every one of them, guys. It's for me to sit up here and give you the coach speak that it was a great win. It was, and I'm going to tell you that because every one of them are hard to get, and every one of them are well earned from our player standpoint. And so I'm very proud of them for that, and very happy to have that because especially from where they were at and what they were doing from rushing the football standpoint, and where they came off last week's game to Boise and went down to the wire, and so we knew they had the talent to do that, and it was maybe a shade closer than we wanted it to be, or than it could have, and we didn't make a couple plays right there in the third quarter and gave up a really long run, and then all of a sudden it's a ball game. But we had enough at the end to make sure they didn't get back on the field, which was a very positive thing. And then now we're going into San Jose, and it's another short week for us, and this is a team that when you flip on the tape, nobody tells you what the record is. You're like, holy smokes. These guys are really good, and I'm watching the defensive side, and then I look where their stats are. They're number 1 in the country in pass defense, and they're number 1 in the league in total defense. And you see in some of the things they do, and they're presenting problems. And then I look in the stats, and I'm like, yep, I see why that's the case now. And then we've seen them on cross tape on offense, it seems like quite a bit. And, I know who Joe Gray is and Tyler Irvin and the Winston kid and Jabari Carter we've seen for 3 straight years a wideout. They've got as good a wideouts as we've seen in a long time. Collectively, I think, when you count Tyler Irvin in that mix, since he's kind of a dual threat type of kid. Honestly, you don't look at their record, you don't know that. So to me, they're a tremendously talented team that poses many issues for us on both sides of the ball. So we're going to have a great week of prep, our players, our coaches, schematically, and get ready to go on a short week because this is a talented team. So go ahead and open up if you guys want to ask anything.
Coach, have you ever seen a team shut out and never punt?
Well, obviously, yeah, I know.
Until
I heard that and saw that, from this past week's game, but no. It's crazy, isn't it? It's weird.
Can you talk a little bit more about the offensive line and just the way it's playing of late?
A little bit consistent improvement, and I think consistency, togetherness, that's one area that, we're all very glad that we've stayed relatively healthy. Of course, they're all banged up. They, it's too late in the year not to be, but there are a lot of them are playing through a lot of hurts and pains, but consistently improving a little bit and taking some steps forward. And that's a good thing, especially when you look to the future and know that you're only losing Kevin and tremendous leadership and a guy that started there at left tackle since 2012. So that'll be a big loss, but I'm glad it's only one really in the starting 5. So I think the future's bright for that group. But I've been proud of them. They've been consistent, and the care factor. I mean, when you look at their care factor, it's and I've said that before here in this setting here at this press conference. Tell you guys stuff that they do after games and throughout the week, and that stuff all matters to them.
The last drive of the game is a real kind of a statement to them in a lot of ways, besides everybody else.
Statement to me too, and to them, and I would include the 2 tight ends in that group. I mean, because we played in a 2 tight end package most of those reps, and you add Jefferson Court and Wyatt Houston, who I thought played very well, and maybe collectively those two guys played their best game too at tight end altogether. That whole last drive, 4 minutes plus, was, Joe Hill made a couple really good cuts and carried a guy on his back for a while on one play, but those holes and those first downs were created by the O-line and the tight ends.
How special is this senior class to you, and what has it meant to the foundation of the program?
I think it's meant everything to the foundation of the program, and you couple them with last year's senior class, even the kids we have coming back, the veteran leadership that this team has been maybe arguably some of the best in history of Utah State and our program. How do you say that, Matt? Look at the number of wins. Bottom line, it's all about winning. And we're in the hardest league we've ever been in, and we're still winning. And so it's the culture's created, but it's reinforced by those guys. And I would include last year's senior class in that too. This year's class is, the winningest senior class in Utah State history, which is special, especially the fact that they got it sometime in the middle of the year, and they're continuing to add to that. Here they are about to be in their 4th straight bowl game. And, you take the 5th-year seniors and you take that redshirt year of 2010 out. And so from the time they all started playing as redshirt freshmen, and not everyone in the senior class of 5th-year senior, I get that. But when you talk about some of those kids, all they've been to is bowl games. And that's all they know. And it's pretty phenomenal when you think about that stuff. So there'll be guys, we'll replace their talent eventually. Maybe not immediately, but maybe eventually. But it's going to be hard to replace their character and all the intangibles that they bring to that locker room.
Someone like a Zach Vigil, how would you describe his aura?
A lot of ways I could go with this. That kid is what he's done this year. For our team, it's like he's put everybody on his back. That defense, and I would probably say our team as a whole, willed it upon everybody to play better, and he's done it by performance. He's done it by vocal leadership. But you lead first and foremost by performance, and it's been really remarkable. And he's not the only one, but you asked about him, and so I'll talk about him a little bit in that sense. And to see what he's done really on the field, he's shooting up people's minds in the NFL. The kid's going to play in some postseason probably. Hopefully he gets selected for some stuff, but just to see what he's done as an older player, a 5th-year player, his game's gotten better all year. It's pretty remarkable. It's cool stuff.
How much of what they're doing on defense, how much they're playing so well is Greg Robinson?
I think he's had a huge hand in it. It's impressive to see what he's done. And it's a major challenge for us as an offensive staff and an offensive unit to go against Greg Robinson and that defense. They're playing a mix of zone and man pressure, some all-out pressure with no help in the back. So it challenges your protections. It challenges your receivers. And it's not all feast or famine. It can be at times, but mixing things up, being very, very multiple in some different coverages and fronts. I've been impressed, just in the last, half a day yesterday and half a day today, looking at them right now in defense. They'll be a tremendous challenge.
The past numbers, they played a couple teams like Navy and Wisconsin or Minnesota that didn't really hardly pass. Is it a little skewed? Are they really good with their coverage and things?
Probably both. It helps when I'm sure our pass coverage stats went up a little bit or improved a little bit. This week in the Air Force week. But I'm sure that's always the case. Navy doesn't throw it very much. Minnesota didn't throw it very much. I think maybe 15 times between those two teams combined. So that helps, but they've been very, very solid. You don't get that ranking just by playing two-option team or one-option team and
one
you know.
14 pass breakups to one corner. That's
Yeah,
a lot.
you get those PBUs and the pressures that they get, and you're going to have those kind of stats, and I think they're very justified.
Thoughts on B.J. Larson, just the way he's developed through his
Yeah, it's a way cool story. I mean, when you think about the kid came to Utah State and he wasn't even a player the first semester, and then he goes on his mission and comes back. He's a self-made man. I mean, the guy is he's a man out there every week, and he plays through pain, and tremendously tough kid. And when we talk about field corn in our building and kids that are no maintenance and they're tough, that's BJ.
So Irvin, their running back, you'd consider him to be one of the most versatile.
He's very versatile, yeah. I mean, he's a lot more full-time running back than receiver, but he's, I would say he's very similar to JoJo. He's a little bit bigger than JoJo, but to say he's a dual threat, absolutely. He's catching the ball out of the backfield. They can motion him out, motion him back in. So you gotta know where that kid is at all times.
And their quarterback's a running threat besides.
He's a dual threat kid. Joe, I think, is very athletic. He throws it well on the run, and he puts the ball in some tight spots, which tells you he's got confidence, which I like to see in a quarterback. I don't like to see playing against us, but if I was just coaching him, I think he's coached up really, really well. And I think he's got a bunch of guys distributed to it. They got a solid tight end, solid running back who's a dual threat kid, and then they've got 3 wideouts. The Winston kid, Jabrari. I mean, we've seen these kids. And those 2 kids are really, really talented.
You've had so many walk-ons that have been successful.
Mhm.
Does that play a part in what you call the character and everything else of this team and whether they've enjoyed success?
Huge part. A lot of those walk-ons have come in and earned playing time, and with that, obviously gotten put on scholarship. We've got a relatively high number of those kids. And, sometimes when you have to work a little bit harder for something and you're not given something, or maybe you're a late developer or a late bloomer, as in the case of some of these kids, things mean something to you a little bit more. And those kids, I think, they'll bleed Aggie blue and play maybe a little harder for you in some instances. But, I think that's something that we have to continue to do around here, is to continue to have a high level, is what I call it, a high level walk-on program, to where you're bringing legit kids in here and they're going to be able to work and to earn their way to a scholarship. And I think you use that as proof, and they can see kids that have had success, and BJ and Zach and Jordan Nielsen and Ben Trude and all these. I mean, there's more and more examples than just those kids, but they can look to them as success stories, and I think that those kids have had a great deal of success here.
But these are people you're actively looking for.
Absolutely.
You don't wait for them to show up at your door. You go and
Happens both. Yeah, it happens both ways though. Yeah. But yeah.
When the offensive line is playing as well as it did
Mm-hmm.
in that game, what does that do for this team going forward? I mean, do you have a little bit more confidence in what you can do as an offense, whether it's taking chances downfield or just dictating the play?
I think it makes us all feel better. I don't have to answer the question of why didn't the offensive line play good, But honestly, we're gonna have to run the ball, and I don't think our mindset last night, today, and tomorrow, as we put the initial stages of the game plan together, I don't think that mindset changes much from maybe a time where you're coming off a game you didn't run the ball very well. You're trying to find new ways to do the same thing that you're doing well. When you're coming off a game you don't run it very well, you're trying to find new people and new ways. So we know who the people are right now. It's to continue to schematically find the right ways to do it. Certain formations, certain personnel groups, certain presentations, all those kind of things.